So Mayor, I'm not sure if Allie's here or on Zoom, so when we get to the proclamation, just ask the question. And I left the proclamation there.
That's what the problem is. They will just go.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. Start with roll call.
Are we ready, Rob? Okay, we'll just go ahead. Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre.
Here.
Councilmember Alfieri.
Here.
Councilmember Keys.
Here.
Councilmember Nakai.
Here.
Councilmember Neal.
Here.
Councilmember Zuluaga.
Present.
Thank you.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. America, we love you.
Council's going to do two a little bit of different things right now. In light of one of the longest wars ending, and in remembrance of the most recent 13 soldiers who passed and all service members, we'd just like to take a moment of silence. Thank you. And we also had a very special request from a citizen that this is also a little out of place, but we're going to go ahead and honor. We had a citizen, Linda Martin, email us and ask if it would be all right. Sorry. If she could read the names of the 13 fallen. So Linda, if you'd please come up. On.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. Marine Corps Lance Corporal David Lee Espinoza. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Navy Medic Maxton Soviak. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Kareem McCowie. Marine Corps Corporal Hunter Lopez. Marine Corps Corporal Dagan Page. Staff Sergeant Doreen Taylor Hoover Jr. Army Staff Sergeant Brian Knaus. Marine Corps Corporal Humberto Sanchez. Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole Gee. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Dylan Marola. Marine Corps Sergeant Johanny Rosario. Home of the free because of the brave.
Captain Ben Reckler.
Thank you, Linda. And moving on to item number 3A, we have the proclamation recognizing Creek Week for 2021. And I believe Allie is participating via Zoom. If we could see if she's available.
So to make sure she's not in the audience. Let's see. Allie, can you just raise your hand for us? Yep, I see her.
Great. Ally, I don't have my computer. I'm sorry. Usually I'm able to see who's online. So if you would just like to go ahead and present whenever you're ready.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. The Fountain Creek Watershed Flood Control and Greenway works to protect the people and property of the region through flood control, development of trails and recreational spaces, protecting wetland open space, maintaining clean water, and engaging the community with events such as Creek Week. Creek Week is now Colorado's largest watershed-wide cleanup, and over the past 7 years, we've removed well over 100 tons of litter from our region. So we're encouraging everyone to pick a date, pick a location, and pick it up. We've got really easy registration. It's on our website, fountain-crk.com/register. You can either sign up for existing cleanups that are open to the public or host your own. And thank you to our generous sponsors. We're able to provide limited amounts of bags, gloves, grabbers, and buckets. It's just a great way to get outside, do a little bit of good for your community, and know that you're helping out not only locally, but for all of our neighbors downstream, clear out to the ocean. So we're very grateful for partners like you up there in Woodland Park at the top of our watershed, at the headwaters of Fountain Creek, and we look forward to more collaboration in the future. Happy to answer any questions you might have about the Creek Week cleanup.
Thank you, Ally. Questions, council? Sure.
Ally, thank you for organizing this. You spoke so quickly, I was not able to write down the sign up website, and it's not in our council minutes. So could you go over it again, please?
Sure. Yep. It's www. excuse me, fountain-crk.com/register.
And are you broken up into groups of different organizations on that sign up, or is it what's the, because I saw in your little blurb that it was different organizations. So are they all centralized on your website, or does can you talk about that, please?
Sure. Yep. Creek Week was put on by a number of great partners across the watershed, from government agencies to nonprofit organizations, neighborhood groups. And so there'll be, I think we've already got well over 50 public events available to sign up for today on the website, where, registration will be open until September 17th. And at that time, we'll close it so that we can make sure to get the proper materials and supplies out in advance of the cleanups. So I believe in Woodland Park, you all have had a site near the Walmart at the headwaters of Fountain Creek. And that's been a great location for the cleanup. So we'd be happy to help with any logistics related to that.
Thank you. And on that list of 50 events, is that one listed for Woodland Park?
No, what we need is a crew leader. So we need someone up there to take the reins and help organize that on behalf of the community.
Okay. Is anyone from Keep Woodland Park Beautiful here? You are?
Sounds like a good partner there.
All right, we'll ask around about it.
Great.
And do you have a contact number, or is that not necessary?
Everything's on the website. Yeah, we have our own email address, and yeah, you can get a hold of me that way.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I have the proclamation here, so I'm going to go ahead and read that. And Ally, thank you very much for your presentation and time.
Absolutely.
All right, proclamation recognizing Creek Week 2021. Whereas the city of Woodland Park is fortunate to have extensive and diverse natural resources, such as forests, grasslands, riparian areas, lakes, creeks, and a wide variety of open spaces. And whereas the Fountain Creek watershed is a unique and important resource and asset to the residents and visitors of Fountain and Pikes Peak region. And whereas the Fountain Creek Watershed Flood Control and Greenway District is partnering with the city of Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Pueblo County, the cities of Manitou Springs, Fountain, and towns of Monument and Green Mountain Falls, and numerous community organizations to coordinate the 8th annual Creek Week cleanup, which will encourage the protection, restoration, and maintenance of the Fountain Creek watershed. And whereas this 9-day litter cleanup effort runs September 25th through October 3rd, 2021 throughout the watershed, and is now the largest cleanup effort in our state. And whereas Creek Week programs and activities are designed to raise awareness about the littering issue within our watershed, to encourage organizations and individuals to collect litter and debris to make Fountain Creek and the watershed cleaner and safer. And whereas businesses, churches, schools, nonprofit, neighborhood associations, youth groups, service clubs, and individuals are encouraged to form a creek crew to clean up at a Creek Week project site. And whereas Creek Week litter removal activities will reduce pollution in our creeks and clogs in our waterways that can lead to flooding, provide for safer drinking water supply, and enhance wildlife habitat and property values. Now, therefore, the members of the City of Woodland Park City Council hereby proclaim September 25th through October 23rd, 2021 as Creek Week in the City of Woodland Park, and encourages our citizens to help protect, restore, and maintain our waterways by participating in Creek Week activities. Done this second day of September 2021 in the City of Woodland Park, Colorado. All right. And Allie, if you're still there, thanks again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your support. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to move on to item 3B, which is appointments to the Downtown Development Authority Board. And we do have, we have 3 applicants for 2 current positions. There is one question I have for our city attorney that I'm going to briefly ask. Since there are 3 applicants for 2 positions, is it suggested that we sequester, or is it all right that all 3 remain?
It's fine that all 3 remain.
Okay,
I don't think we need to sequester for this.
okay. And then my second thing that I wanted to bring up with everyone is the DDA can have up to 11, but because we only put out the 2 open positions, it was kind of only advertised for 2, but since we have 3 applicants, this is up to council. If you want to just interview the 3 and take the 2 of the advertised position, or if you want to consider just appointing all 3 after interviewing, either would be fine. Or if you want to put it on the next agenda for further openings, it's up to you guys.
Yeah. There are 11 slots we can go up to, 7 right now. So we'll be coming up to what had been our traditional 9. The problem, and it was pointed out to me just prior to the starting of the council meeting, was if we did appoint 3, we would have a 10, an even numbered DDA. In thinking about that, it would not be a long period of time, potentially, that there would be 10 because we would be advertising for the 11th position, but there is that potential that you have 10 members. I think the 3rd person has a right to apply and be appointed. It's just we would want to work towards getting the 11th so we could keep it at an odd number so you don't have gridlock. Is all the comments I'd like to share with the council members.
Well, I would pose the question, why would we be looking to have 11 on the board? I think that's the larger number you have, you're going to have a more difficult time working with it. And I've seen so much upheaval on the DDA over the last 3 months that I think we'd be wiser to see it stabilize and see if there really is a need to, open it up that wide. So my preference would be, let's pick 2 of these 3 and
It's a good point. I thought about that also. With the complexity, with more people, the one thing you do with the contentious, situation, you do dilute the conspiracy theories of the 2 sides by having a higher number. You could, in fact, dilute that theory or possibility. I'm just giving you those thoughts too.
I would suggest that just on the opposite side of that coin is that with expanding the number on the board provides for an opportunity for maybe even more expertise, more knowledge, more brainstorming opportunities, more ideas, some freshness on the board. I think it also creates an opportunity Not that I've really thought one way or another, but I can see the opposite side of what Robert is speaking about in the opportunity.
So we all know how this is gonna go. I would just like to point out that there are a number of council members sitting up here who not even a year ago sat there and said they didn't want to add members to the DDA, that they would prefer to keep those seats empty in an attempt to dissolve the DDA and wanted as little number of DDA members as possible. And those are the same council members that are now advocating for increasing the number to 11. That's all I have.
Well, I was one of those, and have said since I've taken a seat on the council that I would like to see that organization dissolve and those monies go back to those taxing authorities. I will absolutely admit that. I'm still of that opinion. We have debt to pay off. And I'm just simply stating a fact that the opportunity is there. I didn't say whether I was in favor of it or not. So I still feel that way and look forward to the day that that happens. So thank you.
I'd like to make one further comment in that, and that is that before we so consider diluting the DDA, we actually have a work session between council and the DDA to understand some of the mix. Like, for example, to sit down and say, okay, if you really want to dissolve the DDA, what does that look like for the city? What does that look like for the expenses? What does that look like for the taxpayers? And have that open forum. There's a lot of, as Council Member Neal says, a lot of, what did you say? Tug of war. You call it conspiracy. That's right. There's a lot of fact in the DDA that's just not on the table, that I'm sure that Mary Jo and some of the other more seasoned members who've really walked it out through its ups and its downs would be able to articulate to council. So anyway, that's my last comment on this.
Yeah, that's not a bad suggestion, Robert, in my opinion. Work session.
Catherine, do you have anything you'd like to say? Okay, I just want to put it out there because we're allowed to appoint all three if we wanted to, or just stick with the two. So I just wanted to have the conversation. So, yeah,
Well, if we need a motion, I'd make a motion that we select two of the three tonight.
Yeah. we'll just keep it as is for this evening.
And I was going to say,
Fine.
since I was the one that brought it up, I'm going to even second that because I like the workshop idea where we could discuss the pros and cons in a more informal, whether we want to go up to 11 or even the concept of, do we do it away with the DDA? So I'll second your motion if we need a vote. Otherwise, we can just.
We don't
say
need a
yes.
vote.
I don't
Yeah,
think we need that.
Okay,
Nope.
perfect,
I just wanted to have a conversation.
perfect.
So that we all knew what we can and can't do and what you guys wanted to do. So I'm fine either way. So,
We'll
okay.
stick with it.
All right. So Suzanne will carry on.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. As council knows, we have many openings on our different boards and commissions, and the city clerk's office continues to advertise for those boards and commissions. So we've received some applications and we are going to start with the DDA. That's the first one we have listed here. As a result of the resignation of Jan Wilson and Elijah Murphy, the council directed the city clerk's office to advertise to fill these two positions, which we did. We've received 3 applications. Before talking about the 3 applications, what I need to let council know is that Jan Wilson's term expires on 6/30/22. And Elijah Murphy's term expires on 6/30/24. So when you're appointing tonight, one position would expire in 22 and one position would expire in 24. So you need to keep that in mind when you make your appointments. We've received 3 applications for these positions. Christopher Hilderhorf, Matt McCracken, and David Maharis have all applied. Council's received their applications and has been able to review them. And I believe these gentlemen, I'm not sure, but I believe I know one of them's here, but I believe the others may be in the audience with us tonight.
Great. So council, I always recommend we ask people the same thing. It's okay if you don't on this topic because it's not a competitive position for only one opening. So, but just bear that in mind. And we'll go ahead and get started. And Suzanne, would you like to call the first applicant up for us?
Yes, and the way I'm calling them up, Mayor Pro Tem, is in order that I've received the applications. So the first applicant is Christopher Hilderhoff. Are you in the audience with us? Does anyone know? Christopher, are you on Zoom with us this evening? If you are, can you raise your hand, please? Okay, I don't believe he's here.
Okay.
The second applicant is Matt McCracken, and I know that Matt's here in the audience. Matt, would you like to come up to the podium?
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for applying.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and let council start if they have any questions. But before they start, if you just want to give us a little rundown of who you are, what you do here, and why you applied would be great.
All right. I'm Matt McCracken. I'm the owner operator of McCracken Professional Builders. You might see my trucks driving around town. You can throw a rock and hit one of our projects. And we do a lot of work in the community. Teller County, Douglas County, Park County, we're all over the place. I've been building for 32 years. I love it. I won't stop doing it until I stop loving it. So it's great stuff. And I've been a part of this community together with my family, living here for 13 years. My wife is born and raised in this community. So we've got deep roots in this community. We love this city, love this town, and we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So.
Right. Thanks, council. I'm going to go ahead and start with Councilmember Alfieri. I have no questions. Thank you. Councilmember Case.
I guess I'll just ask a real basic question. Tell me why you'd like to serve on the DDA.
Okay. So my tagline, if you go to my website, you got all that tagline stuff. My tagline is your mountain town builder. So I live in a mountain town. I work in many mountain towns. I spend time in many mountain towns. And I've seen some of the progress that other mountain towns have made. And I don't think I know that our town can have that. And I want it to. So I want to be a part of making that happen.
Thank you.
Is that affordable housing you're talking about? Or the labor force you're looking for?
We're not-
I don't think that is
We're
a
not-
relevant question.
We're not going to entertain questions from the audience at this time. So Councilmember Nakai.
So I was just curious, what kind of developments would you like to see go in downtown?
You know,
In the DDA?
I'd like to, I've seen projects presented and, you know, not happen in Woodland Station. And that was disappointing to me. You know, not all of them were good for the city, maybe, but I think there were some of them that could have been. And I was disappointed that they didn't happen. And I'd really like to see something happen in the middle, in the dead center middle of our town, along with other areas of our town.
Anything in particular, like a
You know,
hotel or?
mixed use,
Okay.
mercantile use, you know, housing, mingled in, a place for people to be able to park and walk and not have a highway. That's for one.
Thanks.
Councilmember Neal.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
What, if anything, would you like to change with a new DDA board composition from past DDA board compositions?
You know, I wish that I could weigh in more heavily on that. And I'm not gonna say much about that because I haven't been to a lot of those meetings. So I've seen some of the dynamic. And if I can change anything, it's definitely reaching across the aisle and trying to make something happen with someone who might disagree with me. And just try to work together and not just continue coming to a stalemate on things.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Matt, I like your application, like what you have to say.
Thank you.
The area that I want to ask you about is, I think a lot of us want to see development, the right development happen down on Woodland Station. You're a businessman. So will you comment on where government and business, or where a project of the size that's needed down on Woodland Station and business, the practicality of profit and loss and viability come together. And where government's pushing for something to happen where there might not be the right investor with deep enough pockets at the time. So how do you address that as you see these projects come, go nowhere? What's your opinion on that whole dynamic as a businessman yourself?
Yeah, that's the toughest thing. And I know you're talking about the infrastructure that's needed for that, to develop that.
One of the things that's.
That's a big piece of it. We're talking a lot of zeros on that infrastructure part. So that's a big hurdle to cross. You have to have a large enough project come in that's going to be able to fund that infrastructure so that other projects and other people who don't have those deep pockets can springboard from that because the infrastructure in place. So that's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's going to take reaching out to the right people with the right vision and the right amount of money to make it happen.
And if that takes longer than the city would like it to see, they'd like to see it happen faster, that it can actually happen, what position do you take in that as a member of the board, realizing that you can only go as far as you can go?
Yeah, that's a tough one as well. I think that's a tough one as well.
Welcome to the DDA.
So I think I am a businessman. I'm very competitive. So, I drive through town and it's weird. I'll see some house going up or some remodel and I'm like, how come my company's not doing that? And it's just a weird thing. So I bring that competitiveness, I guess, to the table, to that board, and the aggressiveness, but also a teamwork spirit. So I consider my family, my work family and my company, we're a family. So I don't know, I kind of look at it that way. Relationships, people are the most important thing to me. So it's making that relationship and making sure that I show respect to every person to get to the goal that we want to get to commonly.
Thank you. You've answered my question well.
All right, council, anything further? Okay. Suzanne, do you want to go ahead and we'll interview each candidate and then we'll go ahead and take a vote? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right. Matt, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have David Maharis.
Now, David is out of town. I actually reached out to him today to find out a little bit about him. He's in Crested Butte. He was going to try to Zoom in. Can you see if he said if you could find a internet connection, he would try. Okay, he did not say his chances were very good, but he was going to try. So evidently he didn't make it.
David's a great guy.
It's that mountain town thing.
Yeah.
We can have the other two gentlemen come
I don't know, but
next council meeting if you'd like.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I'd like them to be able to attend.
Yeah.
If they preferred to.
I can reach out
So-
to both of them and see if they can make it the next council.
Okay, and instead of, well, that's a tough call then. Do we waste Matt's time this evening or do we go ahead and take a vote on Matt?
I'd
Because
like
he
to take a
bothered
vote
to
on
show
that.
up.
Yeah.
So, not bothered, he was able to. I don't mean to say the other two didn't bother. That's rude. I apologize. So, some language. Sorry. So, all right. So Suzanne, if you'll do
May
a
I
call
have a
for us.
motion?
Oh, yeah. That would
I'll
help.
make the motion to appoint Matt McCracken to the 2024 seat.
Thanks for clarifying that. Good speak.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mary,
No.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Zuloaga.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you. And thank you for being here, Matt.
Thank you.
following, I'd like to administer the oath of office to all of them.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So next, Mayor Pro Tem, we have the Planning Commission. Appointments, there are currently 3 vacancies on the Planning Commission. City Clerk's Office received an application from Mr. Frank Connors, who's lived in the city of Woodland Park and has been a resident for 5 years. The terms that are available on the council, or excuse me, the terms available on the Planning Commission are 1 expiring on 1/1/2024 and 1 expiring on 1/1/2023. Mr. Connors is with us in the audience this evening.
Okay. We'll go ahead and have Mr. Connors come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Connors. If you'd like to just give us a little rundown of who you are, why you're here, and then I'm going to let council ask some questions.
Okay, in a quick nutshell, I did 20 years as a Navy diver, surrounded by water, followed by 25 years in the oil field, surrounded by water. I've now moved to the mountains, not surrounded by water. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good
Sunday's
nutshell.
My 39th wedding anniversary to my wife, Jennifer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and this time start with Councilmember Zulaga.
Hi, Frank. I'm looking at your application. I see you're a Cub Master. Yeah, for how many years?
I'm an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
Past history, so been involved in Boy Scouts for my son is also an Eagle Scout. So, been part of Pac 20 for last year. This year's been a tough year for me. April I had my hip replaced. July I had my knee replaced. Had some other plumbing issues last week. So today was the first day I got to drive my car in about 6 months. So it's been
Well, we're glad
a
you.
healing process.
Okay, very good. Glad you made it out. So why do you want to be on the planning board?
I've had a couple things happen recently that I feel that we need some stronger presence for the actual residents that live here now, the full-time residents. Like we have a lot of part-time, they don't have any skin in the game. You're not going to see them volunteering for the creek cleanup. You're not going to see them focused on the forest, you know, and we just have so many of those homes and part-time rentals, which have become an issue inside the city limits. We have 5 or 6 jobs posted on our website for Woodland Park. I think 45,000 is probably the top. I mean, those are our people that work in sewage and our water department. Well, where do those people live? You know, I had somebody help me on my car last week. They're living in the woods. So we've got to do a better job. And I think it's got to start with planning. So I'm 100%. I retired here for a reason. And we have to have the people to do the work and have affordable housing. I think the Woodland Park Station is a great idea. You can build whatever you want to build. If you don't have affordable housing for the people who are going to work there, nobody will build there. And that's part of the problem. So that's a short answer.
Well, I like your vision and what you see. You kind of summed up a couple of the concerns. But my concern for you is where's the role of government in that process to determine the pricing on housing? Once you start having the government involving in something that generally is free enterprise, where do you weigh in on that? Because
you know, here's an issue I have for you. How do you have government if you don't have enough people to vote for you? And if you don't provide the housing and the workforce, you're not going to have enough people to vote for you. The people who live here now can't vote for you because they're part-timers. The guy who lives behind me is from Texas. He was here 2 months ago at a council meeting complaining about the multifamily housing being built 4 houses back from him. You can't even see that. But he was here talking about it. He doesn't pay taxes here, property taxes for that house, but he doesn't pay state tax. Texas is a non-income state tax. There are things the government already can do. You don't have to change laws. You just have to use the ones that are in place. And you can make the money to make affordable housing and to have a workforce in this town. I guarantee you. And you don't have to make new laws. There are laws out there already.
Well, I thank you for your passion.
Councilmember Neal.
Well, we have to do a full disclosure now because we have a retired Navy and I'm
There
retired
are other squids that live in Woodland Park.
and I'm retired Army. So I'm contemplating, should I recuse myself?
My son
there's
was
only one di-
82nd Airborne.
There, okay. Only one day of the year are we mortal enemies. All others were brethren. So with that, there was a word in your application that I would like you to talk about. Now, you have been speaking with Robert about it at length, but I'd like to get a little bit clearer definition of affordable in your mind. What is affordable housing?
In 2016, I purchased my house for $320,000. Right now, the cost of it would be about 600,000. And that's only because in the last year, the two houses that are bought by people who do not live there full time have been outbid. My property taxes increased 37% in the last year. How is somebody to live in this city and be retired?
Are you aware that there is actually definitions by HUD on what is affordable housing? Are you familiar with the definitions?
I can guarantee it's not in this city. But no, sir, I do not know exactly.
Okay.
I could certainly look that up. And I will be schooled before I make it and open my mouth to make mistakes in the planning commission. But I can guarantee you that there'll be a soul search before that happens. Because right now, I think the way things are going is that we're outpricing the retirement population and the workforce from actually living in this town. How many police officers live in this town? Actually live here? That we pay from our taxes. Does anybody know that? I know for sure one that does not. How many people work in this building that do not actually live in Woodland Park? That get paid by Woodland Park tax dollars. I already know 3 that I met today. So yes, sir, we have a problem with affordable housing. And it starts with the employees that live and want to work in this city. And the residents, we should do all we can to make sure that we have that workforce available.
And Frank, I do agree with you. I just would ask that you take some time to research what the real definition of affordable housing is, and then make a comparison to what our housing market looks
I'm
like.
trying to figure out what your point is at this point.
My
You know,
point
the
is,
$750,000 home that was bid 3 times over is not affordable, right? But you know that's about what we're at here in Woodland Park.
Frank, what I'm saying is there is a definition for the word affordable that I would ask you to research so that you know what the word means, so that when we make policy, because remember, policy has got to be understood. It's not a single number that one person pulls out, 600 to one person, 400 to another. Okay, that's all I'm asking. If you're appointed to the commission to do a little research.
What the definition of affordable is.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is, you discussed insurance and property rights. What's your definition of property rights in relation to our municipal code?
Well, I'm working through that right now. I had a meeting today, and I still have to do some research on the actual rules for specific property rights within the city of Woodland Park as it attains to the easements for utilities and what the city owns, and what the utility owns, and who exactly is the definition of a utility. So I dealt with that for about an hour today with our Mr. Scott and Mr. Michael. So I'm still learning the ropes for that stuff. But for private property, it should be what you bought and paid for. That should be your private property. I mean, that's we have laws here in this city that I'm learning about easement and utilities and those type of things that in some cases do infringe on your property rights. And I've been learning all about that lately.
Okay, so in respect to if a developer purchases or an individual purchases a piece of property that is zoned a specific way, do you believe it's their property right to come before the planning commission and have it rezoned? Is that a right or is that a request?
Well, at that point, they've already, they knew their rights going into it by purchasing the property. So I would have to definitely say that there would have to be an additional request on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'd just like to expand a little bit on what Catherine asked. And one thing that I'll comment on is the prices of real estate right now are driven by the market and what a bona fide buyer is willing to pay for real estate. But back to property rights, how do you wrestle with and how do you come to resolution with balancing property rights of one person versus the neighbor person?
Well, and you have to have and make the effort to address all parties involved. Many cases, and we talked about that, is not being done by the utility company. They're not addressing either of the neighbors. Some neighbors who aren't parcel to those easements, who have their own easements, decide to use other people's easements. You know, that became an issue. So it takes somebody time to actually deal with it. I mean, I had to deal with it. So, and it took the director of utilities and it took the city manager and the city lawyer to get involved in it. Because, well, my neighbor and myself, our easement was being infringed upon by the guy behind us who had 2 additional easements on the other side that he refused to use. He decided to go through our easement.
Thank you.
The rest of you covered it. I have no additional questions. Thank you. These are good questions, you guys. Good job.
Yeah.
So I have 3 simple questions. How many planning meetings have you attended before?
No,
Okay. Have you ever read Milton Freeman?
no.
Okay. Does it have to be government involvement in the housing, or could it be less regulations that could solve the housing problem?
That's a very good question. And it could be a combination of both. But we're going to have somebody with effort and enforcement to be able to make sure that, well, let's just take the short-term rentals. How many do we have within Woodland Park that actually perform their due diligence and register and pay the taxes and the business fees and everything that has to go legal for the city to get its cut? Well, I really can't have a real good answer because there's probably 50 to 100 on top of the 100 that report themselves that are not being reported. And I think everybody knows that. So it's going to take an effort. Somebody has to look at this stuff.
Mhm.
It's not going to make a difference if nobody does it. It becomes the same after every day.
Well, Frank, you did a really good job answering all these questions.
Well, I was nervous getting up in front of people.
It's nerve wracking for anybody.
Well, it is. I mean, especially when you don't know the definition of affordable.
Do
But
any
I
of
did
us-
raise 2 kids and I live in Woodland Park, so I can afford some stuff.
All right, council, can I get a motion?
I want to say this before anyone says anything. Frank, I absolutely enjoy your passion. I would, I see you've applied on another position as well. And I would encourage you to walk that walk and attend some planning commission meetings because you have great potential for this. I almost feel like, yeah, let's just let him loose, go into the planning commission. And that would be, excuse me, sir. You've had an opportunity. Yeah. I know, I'm just encouraging you. Sir, please be quiet. Just listen. It's good. It's all good. It's all good. So I'm actually going to make a motion that we not appoint you to the planning commission at this time. Then I'm saying what I preface that with, because I think you have great potential. Just need a little bit more understanding of some of the mechanics here so that it's not, to me, it sounds really disruptive. So my motion is to not appoint Frank at this time.
And I'm gonna actually second it.
Hold on one second. I'm having a procedural headache.
Oh, are you?
I don't think that we can do a negative motion or a motion in the negative.
Oh,
I
you
think
just
we can
don't
have
do anything?
consensus
Yeah.
that we do not have a motion to appoint at this time. Is that all right, Suzanne? Or
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to have a motion on this. We do
Okay.
not have to have a motion.
because I have an overwhelming suspicion there is not a consensus to appoint at this time. So,
Yeah, I think Robert summed it up. I would like to see you, Frank, participate in some of the planning commission meetings. Do a little bit of research so you're a little bit more knowledgeable, because that is a very important body when you go into the planning commission. And you're coming up for the charter review. If you're appointed there, you may learn a lot about what the municipal code says that would help you on the planning commission. So I think Robert summed it up. With a few more attendances at a planning commission to learn the job would serve you very well.
okay, council, am I stepping on anyone's toes when I say there's a consent?
No,
Okay,
it's fine.
all right.
No, I withdraw my negatory.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The third appointment we have is to the Utility Advisory Committee. And that committee currently has 2 permanent openings and 2 alternate openings. Incumbent Rick McVeigh, who's been on the Utility Advisory Committee, has applied to join again. He unfortunately is not with us this evening, but I think you all know Rick, and he served on that committee. He would like to be reconsidered for a reappointment.
Okay. Council, are you all comfortable considering him even though he is not present?
I have not met the man.
And I haven't either. I like him to appear.
Okay,
Agreed.
that's fine. We can ask Rick if he, you know,
You can put him with the.
Yes.
Council.
yep, that would be great.
No problem. And then finally, we have the Charter Review Committee. And as per resolution number 880, series 2021, approved by the City Council on August 5th, 2021, the Charter Committee has 4 openings for residents of the city of Woodland Park, and the city clerk's office has received 2 applications. The 2 applications are Mr. Frank Connors that we just met and Mr. Don DeZello. Both of them meet the eligibility criteria to be members of this.
Council, I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. DeZellem if he would like to come up first.
Point of information.
Sure.
Suzanne, I was under the impression there was a application that came in a little late, but there was an actual 3rd application. Was that withdrawn?
It was withdrawn.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, sure. Mr. DeZellem, would you like to come up, please? Just I think we all know who you are, but just give a brief introduction and why you're interested, just for the audience, please.
Hello, my name is Don DeZellem. I've been a resident of the city pretty much since 1991, but up here again full-time for about the last 3 years or so. I currently serve on the Parks and Recreation Committee, Advisory Committee, and have been a candidate in the past for city council and for mayor.
Excellent. Council, any questions or comments you have for Don? Okay, see.
Refresh my memory, Don, were you part of the charter review last go around?
No, I was not.
Okay. And so what do you think you will offer that committee?
I think probably the best thing that I can offer them is just a calm approach to looking at the charter review or the charter and looking at what needs to be reviewed, starting with things that were presented last time that were not brought forth, and to see if there's any other areas that we need to revise.
One other comment I'd like you to comment on is I noticed that you wanted to limit the number of charter review that goes onto the ballot. You want to talk a bit about that?
The big reason that I'm looking at maybe if I get onto the committee, helping them maybe steer toward 4 or 5 proposals is so that we don't end up like we did last time with 13 items on the ballot. That leads to voter fatigue. A lot of them will look at all of them and say, yeah, I'm not going to spend the time. And they're going to vote either all no or all yes, or not even vote at all on it. So I think that we need to put a priority on them and bring to the citizens the best 4 or 5 so that we make some good decisions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, anything further? Nope. Okay. Well, Don, thanks for coming up, and I'm gonna see if Frank has anything he'd like to add for this position.
Thank you.
No? Okay. All right, council, then, can I get a motion, starting with Mr. DeZellem?
I will move to approve Don DeZellem to the Charter Review Committee.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
and Alfieri.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Don, thanks for your application and volunteering. All right, now can I get a motion for Mr. Connors?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve Frank Connor for the Charter Review Committee.
And I'll second that.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Alfieri,
Yes.
Case.
No.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you. Thank you also, Mr. Connors, for your time and volunteering.
With your permission, ma'am, may I swear, did Mr. McCracken, I think he's left.
Yes.
The 2 charter
Sure.
review people in. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Connors and Don DeZellem, if you want to join me up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. And state your name. Do you solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Colorado, the charter and ordinances of the city of Woodland Park, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the Charter Review Advisory Committee upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'll have you both sign your oaths of office and I will be official. Thank you. Start Mr. Connors right here. Just your name and the signature. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Suzanne, since
Sure.
we do have Matt, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay. I'm
sorry.
okay.
I apologize.
I'm just hanging out up here. So
This is where I'm supposed to get my hand slapped for
no, it's fine.
violating the rules and procedure. We do have Matt's telephone number in his packet. Is there a possibility that somebody could try to call him and get him to turn around so we could
Or
be
I
sworn?
can, at any time, we can do it privately in my office. It's not something that has to be done.
I would just like to see it prior to Tuesday because we do have the DDA meeting coming up.
Okay.
Okay.
It's up to Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, if you want to just reach out to him and see if he can do it before the meeting, that would be great, because that way
Okay.
he can participate.
Okay, I'll make sure we
Is that
get
okay?
him on Tuesday.
Okay, so moving on to 3C, we have the Salute to American Veterans Rally wrap up. And I know that our presenter is going to be Jim Weir, but I know that our Teller County Sheriff and Commissioner wanted to briefly come up and say something. So gentlemen, if you'd like to come to the podium.
Sorry, I had to say hi first. You know, I want to step up. Last time I stepped up and talked to you about the American or Salute to Veterans ride, there was a lot of animosity between two sides. And I'll tell you, the event went out without a hitch. I truly think both sides can work together. And I think we saw that. You know, we have September 11th coming up. We have a lot of decisiveness in the country going on. A lot of things are kind of upside down now for our veterans. And what I saw at that salute was it did solidify that this community does love our veterans. And the fact is that there is healing that goes on and that they are supported. And I think at that moment, that was very, very important. I think it was important for this community. I think it was important for our veterans. And I think it gives a statement about how we feel about folks. And through all of it, you all supported the event together, along with the county. And for a brief moment, we were all one group. And I think that was pretty amazing. I worked with your police chief and all your police officers with my police officers and deputies. And guess what? They got along great. There was no arrogancy, no attitudes. And the fact is that everyone got along. And I just want to say, I was proud of our county as a whole and the understanding that Woodland Park is in Teller County and Teller County is part of Woodland Park. And I think that's important for all of us to remember that we are one cohesive group and that we stand together. And in a country where there's so much decisiveness right now, I don't know that you can do better than that, to show one location at a time that we are part of this country and we are together. So thank you for the opportunity. I hope that we can do it again. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we should do it all the time. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, Jason. You know, Jason and I talked earlier this week, Dan Williams, Teller County Commissioner. And we both said we need to come and stand before this austere group, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and honorable city councilmen and women, to say thank you. So we drove down from Cripple Creek tonight just to say thank you. That's really why we're here. And I'll repeat everything that Jason said, but when we had the possibility of the Veterans Rally not happening in Teller County, the divisiveness that Jason's talked about before the farmers market versus the vets, I'm glad that resolved, and it really did. And I talked to folks on both sides recently today. It was really divisive between two incorporated cities. So I'm happy to tell you that early today, I spent some time with two of the council people down there. I spent time with the mayor. They got an economic bump. They got to have the flag. They got to have quite a few. I felt. Good. Thanks. Does this work? I'll just use it like this. There was no way when you took a leap of faith with law enforcement, with county commissioner. I had a prominent member of your community come up to me about a month ago. I told Jason and said, you know, your reputation's on the line. And I said, yes. And it's our reputation. But there's no way that when you agreed, and Michael, I'm looking at you too, sir. Thank you for you and your leadership with your staff, the planning department, Sally, Laura, they all did a good job. But there was no way that you could have seen the end of Afghanistan. Linda, thank you for reading those names. I've had a tough time with that. So my dad, as a Vietnam vet, was in the audience. He was surrounded by 4 other Vietnam vets. They had all of the PTSD come back of a dishonorable disengagement in a country, in our case, Afghanistan. I had emotion that I didn't expect. So you guys did a really, really good thing. And I can tell you that suicide hotlines are active. I can tell you that in Teller County, the American Legion, the VFW have activated the buddy check system. You know, Rusty knows what I'm talking about. A lot of folks are having a hard time. But as Jason said, their ability to stand in Memorial Park, endorsed by this council, supported by the members of this community, all the incorporated cities and unincorporated Teller County, kept someone alive. And I can tell you that because I've talked to them. So I wanted to thank you for it. I know Jim's got a presentation for you. He's not going to put any pressure on you. I do think that I probably talked to over 100 vets and other non-vets that were there. There was a lot of agreement that they'd like to come back here next year. I can also tell you that Cripple Creek isn't going to get into a fight with you over it. I think there's just like we do with the farmers market, there's benefit for both. Hotels were filled on both sides of the county. As Jason said, I attended Beth Huber's presentation at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was wonderful to see law enforcement work together. Particularly, we're all short and we're all focused and working together. I listened to Jim Weir. In fact, Jason and I both spoke with him when he talked to the bikers, and here's what he said. This welcome, you're going to Cripple Creek. If some of you want to stay there, go ahead. If you want to go down to Victor, go ahead and enjoy those facilities. If you want to come back here, here's our events. Some folks came straight to the event. We talked to business owners. I talked to Joni's owner tonight, and there's some possibilities for next year. If you guys want to host it, we can put some more vendors there if you like, and it can be even bigger. But bottom line and bottom of my heart is thank you so much for supporting our veterans. Thank you for showing a spirit of cooperation that, as Jason said, we can use right now. So thank you very, very much. Appreciate you.
And there won't be a fight with Cripple Creek because we're keeping it.
Commissioner Williams, before Jim comes up, I just want to thank you personally for all of your preparatory work and your negotiating and your patience through that process. It was also noticed by this council.
So yeah, it's our event. We will go where we can best serve the veterans, and we're not interested in fights or competition. Sergeant Major, I need somebody pretty up here to stand with me. I'm honored to give you Sergeant Major, United States Army retired Rick Fisher. He's a member of the Combat Vets Motorcycle Club. He's also on the board of the Salute to American Veterans Rally, and he is one of the founders, or the founder, of Vets for Vets, which is an organization that you'll hear about in a minute. Mayor LaBarre, City Council members, thank you for having us here tonight. I have to make one correction to the sheriff's previous statement. One local merchant did suffer some fairly devastating carnage at the hands of rally attendees. Elijah Murphy was the victim when 300 pounds of brisket, burgers, and brats were destroyed at his grill in the Raleigh Beer Garden. And he's still recovering. Seriously, positive feedback all around. UN reported their best weekend financially since March 2020. No issues to speak of. A+ grades from Chris with the street department, Steve with parks, Sergeant Huber with Woodland Park PD, Teller County Sheriffs, UPass Emergency Services, Woodland Park High School, and most importantly, the Rally Committee. Most importantly, to the Rally Committee, the veterans in attendance loved the new venue. With hundreds expressing opinions, Woodland Park and Memorial Park were both very well received. Most notably, as Dan said, we heard from many veterans of Afghanistan who told us that their experience at this year's rally helped them immensely with respect to the recent goings on in Afghanistan, raising their spirits and self-esteem as a result of attending the rally. And some might write that off as trivial, but we are truly humbled by those sentiments. Monday night, the Rally Committee presented a check for $2,800 to the Vets for Vets organization, who do an outstanding job in helping local homeless veterans get back on their feet. In addition, within the next week or so, once we get all the bills paid, we'll be handing over another check for $5,500 to Commander Tyler of the Woodland Park Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 6051 and Commander Williams from the Woodland Park American Legion Post 1980. And we will rely on those two individuals and their respective committees to seek out and vet local Teller County veterans in need and disperse those donated funds accordingly. All in all, we declare mission accomplished in the effort to plan and execute a safe and successful event, and in providing the veterans in attendance with a great experience while directly benefiting thousands of our veterans through support, healing, and donations. Having said that, we can do better. In particular, while the numbers of attendees look strong in the smaller venue, we were substantially down from previous years. This can be corrected, and we can do a better job on several fronts given the opportunity for support and the provision for a clear path to succeed. We've had many inquiries about 2022, which will be a big year for the rally as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Salute to American Veterans and the 35th year for the POW-MIA recognition ride next year. All we can tell folks now is that we are in a wait and see holding pattern presently. We're keeping all options open, and time will reveal the results as potential host cities discuss plan and budget for next year. Again, the overwhelming opinion from the veterans community is that the future of the Salute to American Veterans Rally is here in Woodland Park, and that's important, but it's only half the equation. The other half is that the effort put forth, which is an immense effort and a group effort, must be economically successful, both for the organizers and the city of Woodland Park. To succeed in that arena, we need a few things to happen. We need first a greater amount of time to plan the event. We will need to collectively decide in the next 90 days or so if we're going to proceed, and if so, the work needs to begin before the turn of the new year. Next, we will need more room to work. We need to get the Vietnam traveling wall back as a feature of the event. It's important to a lot of people, not only veterans, but the young people who don't even know what Vietnam is about because they don't teach that in school anymore. We need a larger vendor show. We need to expand access to the venue in both space and time. All these things will facilitate more out-of-town visitors with more tourism dollars and potentially grow this event in size and scope, including positive national publicity for years to come. This event put Cripple Creek on the map over the years that we were there, and we have piles of national and international articles and testimonials about the event. Third, we need a clear path from start to finish, free of obstructions and unencumbered by unnecessary intervention, details, and arguments. We believe that, as our track record was not enough, we proved this year that we are indeed professionals in the special event business, and that, as promised, we will treat your park, your streets, your high school, your residents, and your town as though they were our own. We are guests here, and as good guests do, we behave accordingly, with respect and honor. We are men and women who are good for our word. By way of example, the one and only effect we had on our neighboring event was, as promised, to infuse a large group of new customers with money to spend. This was very fortunate for our neighbors, as we were told that many of their regular customers stayed away as they were afraid. Ironic then, that at the end of the day, the pushback and fear mongering only hurt those who propagated it, and those who were supposedly the villains ended up the heroes. As well, the hours spent arguing and begging for extensions of time past the 7 p.m. reopening of the streets and removal of abandoned motorcycles was all for nothing, as the roads around the park were clear and open at exactly 7:04 p.m. All of the blind mandates, demand for details, arguing over small potatoes, battles for control, it's just a waste of time, and it hindered our ability to properly promote the event, hence the smaller turnout. I believe we showed that all the propaganda and personal attacks spread through your community regarding what might likely result by allowing this group of veterans and patriots to be guests in your town were completely unfounded and offensive to those who were mistakenly labeled as criminal and or untrustworthy. So trust is the key component here. Trust is what we need to move forward, and trust is what will clear the path for future success, if indeed y'all want us back. In the next week or two, we'll submit a proposal that details kind of, our vision for what we need to be able to make it successful next year. And we'll submit that to you all individually, and then we'll be around to answer questions. As for 2021, we cannot thank the Woodland Park City Council enough for their support and words of encouragement. We are beyond grateful for Councilwoman Case, Mr. Lawson, and Commissioner Williams for their trust and confidence in us. And we want to thank UPass EMS, Northeast Teller Fire, Chris Traeger and the street crew, Steve Varner and the park crew, Ron Stone and Brian Gustafson from the high school, Candy McDaniel from Park and Rec, Suzanne in the clerk's office, Sergeant Jones at State Patrol, Sheriff Mikesell and Deputy Bunting from the Sheriff's Office, and especially Sergeant Huber from Woodland Park PD for her willingness to ignore the false narratives and allow us to move forward based on common sense and reputation. I want to apologize for anyone I failed to mention who made a positive contribution to the mission to honor and support our country, our flag, and our beloved veterans. This is truly a group effort, and we sincerely hope to continue for years to come. Thank you, Council, for your time this evening. God bless our vets, and God bless America.
Thank you so much, Jim. It was a pleasure. And you did a great job. Great job, all of you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting us host.
Jim, I want to just say, your event was fabulous. Your the folks who monitored the event. I'll just give you one little example that I was impressed by. You had your own biker guards around the whole perimeter at each of the roads. And I had occasion to go backwards and forwards through the guy who was on center there, up from the parking lot of the Cowhand. The guy was there all day, same guy the whole day. And I was impressed by that. You could tell he had his eyes and his ears open and he was gracious. So that was just one example to me of how you really had your people in place. You knew what you were doing. And I think the city's been blessed by your persistence. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, may I say something?
Absolutely.
Like Jim said.
Can you go up to the mic, sir?
Moving voice, I can go ahead and do it.
There's all these people online can't hear it.
I can make windows rattle if you want. I came in 1974. I'm Army. That was Vietnam era. I'm considered a Vietnam era veteran, but I don't claim it out of respect for people that were on the ground. But when I traveled, I got spit on, I got told, and I want to thank you guys for allowing me an opportunity to, and I retired in 2006, so it's not like I didn't have a day or so in the military. So I like to say thank you for the opportunity for me to let it out and with my fellow veterans. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service, Sue.
It's the only thing I know how to do right.
You're such a pretty face.
So I just, real quick, thank you again, Jim, for everything, reiterating what all of the other council members said. I just wanted to share something that I continued to hear at the rally. I think I might have shared it with you that day. That might have gone unnoticed to a lot of people, but I had a number of people comment on what a family-friendly event it was. And that's not to say that Cripple Creek was not, but a number of people pointed out that, you know, having their kids there in the park, playing in the grass, playing in the river, it's not just making it a family event, but it's bringing that younger generation in to an event that they need to be aware of and they need to recognize the importance of. So that is of huge impact. And I just, that's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people realize that I wanted to point out and thank you for as well in part of what happened by allowing us to host your event. So thank you.
Ma'am, just because we wear leather, I got hair like this, we're family people,
Yes, sir.
all right? We're dignity and respect. That's all we ask for in return. Yeah, maybe I ride a big bike and I drink some beer and I'm in shape because round is a shape. Sorry. I'm not used to taking orders. You can ask my wife that. But we're family oriented and we're family members. My daughter, my oldest, is a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force in Hawaii. She works with the POW MIA recovery teams. And my other daughter is also military. So we're military family oriented. It's not, if you're a civilian, you will never understand that. But if you get to go to an event like we had and see us as us and not, you know, not braided hair. And it's going bald up there, but I won't show you. But man, we're family oriented. And that's the misconception of civilians when they look at us because we ride a big bike.
Yes, sir.
And I like, it's called wind therapy.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I get to, you know, do what my mind goes different places, but I always return to my family. And bikers are my family.
Yes, sir.
What you said about the kids, you know, like typically when we have the ceremony, you know, we want silence, somber, you know, and all those screaming kids splashing around and swinging and stuff. It was great because it like the whole thing, having the whole thing close in and no, it's you know, the town we were in prior is not, you know, is not that. So that was really cool to have the kids there and the parents who like weren't afraid to bring their kids out. And one lady commented and she said, you know, I could leave here and leave my kid, and I guarantee you no one will bother that child because he's got, you know, all the watchdogs around. So, you know,
Yes,
so
sir.
we appreciate what you, that taking note of that and recognizing that.
Council, anything further? All right. well,
Thank you.
Jim, thank you guys very much. All right, now moving on to item number 4, additions, deletions, or corrections to agenda. We have none. Item 5, consent calendar. We have 5A. Suzanne, do you want to do 5A and B together or separate?
It's up to council. How would council like to handle that?
Council, do you have a preference?
Together.
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 Okay, we'll do it together.
Okay, this evening, we do have the 2 items on the council agenda. We have the August 19th regular city council meeting minutes, and then we have the approval of the June 2021 and July 2021 statement of expenditures. And also, our finance director is on with us on Zoom in Florida, if you should have any questions that he can answer for you.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
I just have one.
Sure.
And that is, I see we have a new Chevy vehicle on the budget for last month, about 19,000 or something like that. Will you just remind me which department it's for, and have we sold or traded in the vehicle it's replacing?
So that's in the police department. I don't want to be any more specific than that, but the vehicle that was replaced was totaled in a deer strike.
Deer strike.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right, thanks. That's enough.
Those darn road deer.
Roadkill.
Those
Did
road
we
deer.
harvest them? Oh, is that,
don't
no,
know.
sorry. It's a great question.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right. Suzanne, would you like us to take it as a one motion?
One motion would be satisfactory.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Here's Mr. Bassel.
Oh, and then
Oops.
there he was.
Huh, Where's that
Was
guy?
there.
Come up there and
Just so you
comment.
can say hi to
Oh,
Miss.
Aaron.
Yeah,
Hi, Aaron. Bye, Aaron.
Hello.
There he is.
Go on,
Hi,
Aaron,
Aaron.
weigh in.
So far, so good, Aaron, right?
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I will second.
Thank you. Nakai,
Yes.
Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Alfieri,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Aaron, for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Don't worry, your time's coming.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're moving on to item number 6, public comment on items not on agenda. And Suzanne, do you have anyone signed up for it?
I do. First, we have Mary Jo Larson.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you. Well, I would like to comment on the bike rally. I worked that day and I heard nothing but good all day long and for days to come on how successful it was and how much they enjoyed it and what a beautiful program it was. So I would hope the DDA had offered the use of Woodland Station unanimously, and I hope that we can work in conjunction for next year's bike rally and make it even bigger and better. So I'd like to throw that out. I do like the new appointment that you made. It sounded really good. I don't know the man. I saw him for the first time today. What he said, I think he'll fit in well. So thank you for that appointment. I would like to comment on the number of people on the DDA. I don't think more would help. I think that it would be more of a hindrance and more of a block to move forward in a timely fashion. So I know you'll do whatever you choose to do, but I think 9 is a good number. And I would hope that we could keep it at that. I'm here to request that we have a workshop between City Council and DDA. We have a lot of new members. I think that we need to focus on working forward, bury the past, indifferences, all of it, and work together to move forward. The DDA is a separate entity from the council, but the DDA and council must work together. That is part of the plan of DDA. So I would hope that we can have a workshop, like I said, in a timely fashion. And would like Michael to be there and Sally Riley as far as staff goes. And I would hope that it would be productive. And this is I see this letter back there. I was surprised to see this back here. This is an invoice for Dave Boujon that did the development work on platform for the COG station so that we could get an idea of what that was going to cost and get a price estimate. That was approved through the DDA. That money has been budgeted. So it can be paid. It's not in addition to anything. And that's not City Council's money, that's DDA's money. So I don't know what the holdup has been, but any help that we could get from the DDA and staff to pay this invoice. Like I said, it has been approved and the man has waited almost 8 months.
A point of information.
Sure.
Mary Jo, I brought that so that I'm going to bring up and talk about getting that paid during the council liaison reports so that people would have an opportunity to follow along with what I'm talking about. I had put those copies back there.
Okay.
But
well, whatever you can do, this man has waited and been very patient and he gave us a real good deal on what he did. And at least we can move forward to get it priced. Oh, and I am really excited about the tourism group that you've put together, that you got the grant for. I guess today was the first meeting. I've heard good things out of that. I would hope that that can move forward. I really do think our town needs it. Anybody that doesn't live in Woodland Park, I would consider in that tourist group. That would be the whole Front Range of Colorado Springs. I mean, how can we reach out to these people? And I think we have a good group put together and hopefully that will have support of City Council and city staff to move forward. Surely I can think of something else. No, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Thank you. And maybe we can do a doodle poll somehow with Suzanne and then the DDA secretary so that we can try to align schedules so we can get that workshop, the wheels in motion for it. So
well, normally we do work sessions around about 5 o'clock on a Thursday that we have a council. So could you kind of float that with the DDA when you guys meet to see if that's, because then it makes it simple.
I would be happy to, and I'm sure that will work. Our DDA board is really dedicated and, you know, I really think that they'll try to make time and make it happen.
great. Suzanne, do you have anyone else?
I do. I have Dr. Matthew Neal.
Oh. All right, Dr. Neal, come on up.
May I? Mayor Pro Tem LeVar, members of council, Matthew Neal, Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Lawson, you are in fact incorrect. There was only 2 of us, 3 of us wearing ties this evening. And so this dress up event is much more casual, I can see. I have a couple of things that I'd like to, I know, I'm looking for, like, it's the first tie that I put on in 8 weeks of being. I had to dust off the tie box tonight, so.
Please don't do it again.
I'm probably not guaranteed.
I'll
Maybe we
second
can
that.
convince you the same. This is my 8th week. Many people got up here and said, I've been a resident of Woodland Park since 1962. I've been a resident of Woodland Park since July 1st. And so in these 8 weeks, I wanted to just say thank you. Tonight, it's pretty rewarding to see all that was done by members of this council. I think we've almost all met individually. And I made a couple small requests. Sergeant Huber and other individuals helping us with our SROs was one of those. We have two incredible SROs that have stepped up to begin the school year fully staffed with security personnel on the first day of school was tremendous and very dedicated. One of the gentlemen has a 1.5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an 11-year-old. He understands what it means to have kids. Tremendous. We talked briefly about getting the streets, the crossing walks repainted in a very short order. You had very little time and they were done before school started. All of our city employees knowing when school started, helping us out when school started and making that effort was tremendous. And I just wanted to say thank you. Those are my kind of two big points. I have one small one, and that's to clarify an earlier comment. We do have all of our Vietnam War and military interactions that are studied both in 9th grade, 10th grade, and is debated in our high school humanities courses. And I would welcome any of our veterans to join in those courses. I was texting quickly to our high school principal and said, which grades, which times, just to make sure. And then a quick reminder, on the 11th of November, just about 2 months from now, we'll have more than 1,000 veterans in our high school. We will have an entire week, not just one day this year, dedicated to a constitutional focus across all of our schools. And so beginning with tomorrow, we have the American Legion coming in. We're doing a flag raising. County commissioners are joining me, but just a return to, I guess, what I would consider constitutional values. And that's what I guess what I get to bring a little bit as the new guy in town. So look forward to having you there. Look forward to you joining us. It should be well publicized. Elementary schools doing their own thing, middle schools contributing more than just an assembly at the high school with a massive 10 or 1,000 people. It'll be really a good week. We actually went through the agenda today with the high school band, the high school choir, the middle school band, the middle school choir. It's a well-known event, and we really hope to blow it out and to be a very successful event, kind of continuing the legacy of kind of what was talked about tonight. I do have one request this evening, and that is for a small assistance with the light at Kelly Road. And that's one that if I could stand out there with my own stop sign and help things move along, if there's any motivation the school district could help or assist with, it's we've had 3 full days of school. This is our 3rd full day, and it was well known in the community that was not the place to be today. So any support on that would be appreciated. And I just want to say thank you for the city council, Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre and City Manager Lawson. Support has been excellent in my first 8 weeks, and you can't always say that as a new superintendent. It's not my first time as a superintendent, and I really appreciate the partnership. It means a lot to me that you jumped through so many hoops to try to get us started. So thank you.
Welcome.
Dr. Matthew,
Please.
Sure.
Yeah. Firstly, would you, we get pretty comfortable with acronyms. So could you please explain the police's role in SROs?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a school resource officer that is a joint partnership between the city of Woodland Park and the school district. And so we pay part of their salary, you pay part of their salary. I mean, it's kind of this joint partnership. You provide the car, I provide the office. And the goal is that particularly at the middle school and the high school, that they would be ever present, actively engaged, developing relationships with our students so that there's a known safety value. And so when a student is having a difficult time, whether it be an altercation or whether it just be an emotional time, that our officers have a relationship with our students and as a trusted advisor. Mental health is a big concern in our schools coming post-COVID for many students that have not been in the classroom a lot, or students that have kind of gone through some home struggles. And so having 2 school resource officers fully dedicated as their daily responsibility, coming to work every day in our schools from the city. And then we have an additional from Sheriff Jason out in the county at Summit. So we actually have 3 officers dedicated for emergency response, but also just daily interactions with our students to check in and develop relationship. That relationship allows them to head off issues before they become issues, arguments before they become arguments, and crisis before it really ever becomes a crisis. So thank you for the contribution of their time. And I know the city is short-staffed on officers. A very conscious effort was made to make sure that we were the first recipients of their time. And that honors us tremendously and for the students of Woodland Park. Thank you.
Thank you. That's excellent. The second clarification I want to ask you about, did you say that you're starting the Constitution awareness in November?
I'm saying that we have a regular Veterans celebration on the 11th. I believe it's the 11th of November.
Okay.
And we've traditionally done that. We've had all of our veterans come into the gymnasium, 800 to 1,000 individuals come in. We've already started planning on it not just being a single day veteran celebration, but a refocus on constitutional values just as a week. And we already do this in so many other ways, but a refocus on constitutional values during the preceding 2 or 3 days leading up to those. So it's almost a season of the school year where you'll see a lot more dedication to that nature of kind of the teaching that's already happening. So I brought up the fact that we already have 9th grade US history. We have other grades that talk and debate about the Vietnam War. Those are things that will be displayed in a more overt way, and discussions about the value of our Constitution in those, particularly in those classes, will have a real strong focus during the lead up to that event later in the week in that celebration.
I don't know whether you're aware, but Constitution Week is actually the September 11th week. to
Yes,
the
we also,
17th.
and I will be speaking there as well. So
So it's funny because I was researching this myself and I pulled it up here in 2004. Their Congress made it a requirement for schools that receive federal funding to teach their kids the Constitution in that week. And so anyway, I have that article.
now you're asking me a hard question.
No. I have that, and I have half a dozen constitutions and a half a dozen videos of the reenactment of the Constitutional Convention I wanted to give you.
Indeed, welcome.
If you want to give them to any of your classes. So,
And I'll be glad to receipt you on what we do for that federal mandate for that week. So
very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
my pleasure, my honor. I know you all have out a long evening if there's anything else.
Council, anything further?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for thanking us. So it's nice to get that every now and then.
My pleasure.
So,
Dr. Matt.
Please do.
yeah.
So Dr. Neal, thank you for that. Dr. Neal had asked me the question earlier in the day about the light at Kelly's, and I actually inquired myself yesterday. I understand we need one more inspection from the state and then the thing can be turned on. So hopefully later this week or next week. So and we're getting tired of looking at it.
Who do we know with connections at the state that can make that happen? I'm just saying,
Do you know a guy?
I might,
Okay.
I'll think about it. I know a guy that knows a guy.
Okay. And we appreciate the school's patience in rebuilding that SRO arrangement too. So the school's been very patient with us. So thank you. I don't know, man. Keep the tie.
He's gonna feel alone.
All right, Suzanne, do we have anyone else?
We do, and I apologize in advance if I butcher your name, sir, but it's Mr. Smolensky? Smolensky. First, it's reading the handwriting and then trying to figure out how to pronounce it, okay?
I scribble a lot. My name is John Smolensky. I reside at 900 Spacious Guys Drive, Woodland Park. Madam Mayor, council members, I'm here tonight to request an allocation in your budget. I know that you're putting together the 2022 budget, and I'm here to request that funding to perform maintenance on some of the paver streets that the city owns be allocated in that budget for the spring or summer of 2022. I know you have 51 miles of paved roads that you have to look after. So the question becomes, well, why should these move to the top tier? I have a very brief presentation that I'd like to go over, show you why I think it should be moved into the top tier for next year. The paver streets were laid down approximately 17 years ago. They're just short of a mile in length. They represent Spacious Skies, Thunder Ridge, Fox Mountain, and Regal Way. Over that period of 17 years, there hasn't been a penny of maintenance spent on these streets. Asphalt paved streets after 17 years need more than just maintenance. They're at the point where they need to be milled and repaved. The streets now, most have approximately 500,000 pavers make up that mile of street. And most of them are in excellent shape. However, there are now hundreds, if not thousands, that are broken or missing. And what I did last summer was I contacted a paver contractor, had him come down, do an assessment of the street, and give me a budgetary estimate as to what it would take to perform the maintenance and the repairs. They came back with, they thought it would be about 1,000 square feet of pavers and $35,000 to fix the street. Then we went through another winter, a series of snow plowing events on the pavers and some more traffic and all. And so this summer, I called in a second paver contractor to come down and do the same thing, an assessment and a budgetary estimate. And it's now up to 4,000 square feet of pavers and 53,000. The deterioration on the pavers is accelerating. A paver street deteriorates at a different progress than an asphalt street does. Asphalt streets tend to wear uniformly and a little bit each year. They get thinner and thinner and thinner. Pavers, as you can imagine, they don't get thinner and thinner every year. The way they deteriorate is they get broken. And as they get broken, it's like a scab. And then every time the snowplow comes by, it's like ripping off the scab and it gets bigger and bigger. I've located the original paver supplier, which is Pavestone, right down in Fountain, Colorado. And they have the existing same pavers that they can supply. The original paver contractor is located in Arvida. They were the ones that provided the latest assessment and budgetary estimate. Contacted two other paver contractors, both in Colorado, Lakewood, Colorado, and Henderson, and they are both willing to do the work. I imagine the city would put it out for a competitive bid between the three contractors. Let's see, condition assessment, budgetary. For this next slide, what the pavers look like is a lot of it is onesie and twosie replacements, where you have some broken pavers need to be pulled out and replaced before the roadbed gets exposed and damaged. Because once the roadbed is damaged, then you start to get into a lot more expensive repair. Next slide. Some are just missing pavers, single pavers. And again, you're getting to the point where the roadbed is being exposed, so you want to get on that right away. Next slide. The really bad portion is the upper portion of Thunder Ridge, where it's no longer a onesie twosie replacement, but there's whole patches of the upper section of the road that look like that. So next slide. So there, this is standing in the middle of the area, looking 150 feet up the road. You can see onesies and twosies isn't going to do it anymore. So the estimate that I got from the paver contractor this summer, who happened to be the original contractor that laid the original street down, was that he'd have to pull up all of those pavers, replace any bad roadbed underneath, and relay those pavers. This is standing in the middle. If you were to spin around and look down, it would be 150 feet looking the same way. And if you drive over it, it really rattles your car. Next slide. The city put together a pavement management plan with a company called Stantec, which is a national civil structural engineering company. And they evaluated all 51 miles of the city's paved streets. And they ran 3 specific engineering tests on the pavement to come up with what they called the PQI, a pavement quality index. It averaged out for the city a score of 56 out of a possible 100. They then looked at the city's actual historical costs for doing maintenance and repairs on the streets. And using those costs, they put together a schedule of maintenance for all 51 miles except for the paver streets. And they said to maintain the present 56 quality, which is not a good quality, it would cost about $12,614 per mile per year. And to improve it to 70 would cost $20,255. And then they laid out a plan all the way out through 2028 as to which sections of roads to have what type of maintenance done on them. But in that maintenance plan, the paver streets were not addressed at all. So it appears from your pavement maintenance plan that the paver streets are never to get any type of maintenance, which obviously, especially looking at Thunder Ridge, is not going to work. If you look at the 17 years that they've been down there and that minimum quality index of 12,614, this street would be looking at like 214,000 in maintenance costs. But what we're asking for is a lot less than that. It's probably going to be somewhere between 53,000 and maybe 75 or 80,000 in order to do the maintenance and repair come this summer. Because when the snow plow comes down on those streets, it's going to do more than plow snow anymore. It's going to be plowing up pavers, especially on Thunder Ridge. So that essentially is the ask, is that you don't wait any longer to appropriate funds for those paver streets, because they do not deteriorate like an asphalt street. Putting it off another year makes the cost go up geometrically, not linearly.
May I
Sure.
comment? I believe, and I'm not the authority, but I've sold several homes on Thunder Ridge in that subdivision. That entire Paradise of Colorado is a member of a metropolitan district, which you pay an additional 25 mils per year of property taxes to maintain the infrastructure in that subdivision. I believe that is why the paver streets are not included in the city's pavement management plan, because I believe they are the responsibility of the Metro District.
You are incorrect.
Okay.
The metropolitan, Paradise of Colorado Metropolitan District was set up and formed because the developer built that water tower up on the hillside above Lockland Way, and water mains from it running all the way out to King's Crown. He exchanged the deed for that property to the city in exchange for the metropolitan district being set up. He exchanged the deed to the city in exchange for a promissory note for 1.8 million plus 4% interest. So all of that 25 mils in taxes goes to paying the promissory note. We do not own the street. We have no legal obligation for maintenance of the street. The district's only maintenance obligation is for the bronze statues in the area, the waterfall at the top of Majestic Parkway, and the concrete split rail fence that's on the cul-de-sac of Spacious Skies. That's all the maintenance that's required by the district. Like 20 mils of the 25 mils goes directly for paying the note. The other 5 mils are for operating the metropolitan districts in accordance with the laws of Colorado on municipal districts.
So tell me again, who holds the note that you spoke of?
It was William Brown's
Yes.
corporation.
Yes.
He passed away. The corporation went to his children.
Yes.
His children hold the note. And so the 20 mils goes to his children.
Okay, I had a different understanding, but like I said, I'm not the authority on that. I just wanted to bring that up. And I'm sure our city manager will investigate that further.
I think Kip knows the answer, and I know that Mr.
Is he sitting there
Smolinski
looking at us wanting to
yes.
talk?
Yeah, he's very well versed in this topic with what he's presenting us, so he is accurate. And Kip can support that and let us know if you'd like to hear briefly from Kip now. And then it's a feather in our cap for this budget season
Okay.
So,
Thank you. I
Yes.
just wanted to bring that up. Not, I didn't mean to say that I knew. I just wanted to have that conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I had thought of that originally because I was asking, I'm a board member on the Metropolitan District.
Mhm.
And so I was asking if the district's attorney should send a letter. And he said, no, because the district has no responsibility towards a road, no ownership stake in it. So it'd be meaningless for the district to call for funding. It really has to be the residents, the taxpayers that have to call for the funding on there. Another misconception is that there's all those pull block retaining walls in the
Yes.
area, and those are the city responsibility also. They're not part of the district responsibilities.
So Mr. Smolenski, thank you very much for that presentation. It was very detailed and I really appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and have Kip Wiley come up to the podium for council for any further questions they have. And
Okay.
Just, stay in touch with us, and it is something we certainly need to look at and consider. So,
Yes, I've talked to Kip and Robin before and offered to do any legwork that they would like to have done to relieve some of their burden, because I know they have a lot to do.
sure, thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
He's absolutely right. I thank him for his time and efforts on all of this. This is a great example of where the 410 fund is and how it can pay or not pay for all the improvements that need to be done around town. We don't do these roads, or we don't allow these roads to be installed anymore. It's not an application for Woodland Park in our climate. If you're a plow driver plowing these roads, you hate that route. Your teeth don't last very long. And it's really bad, as you point out in the picture, in the shaded areas where the snow doesn't melt, they just pop right out. And it's very expensive. They deteriorate faster than an asphalt road. The degradation curve, once you start losing a road, it's exponentially. You start losing it exponentially. So just a little tidbit for council. We're getting cost estimates back on Kelly's and Baldwin for those improvements. And what was in the pavement management plan wouldn't even cover one road as opposed to the two that was projected. Cost of construction right now is through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's a tough time for the 410 fund, to say the least.
Council questions or comments?
I would just hope that when we do replace sections of that it's asphalt and not pavers, so that we have some quality that will last and survive our climate.
That's kind of my follow-up question on that is, when you look at all that in the budgeting of it, maybe look at what it would cost to reclaim that and make it asphalt versus brick. And the other one is, if it's, as he says, the allocations are 214,000. If the degradation curve is going down that fast, we're going to end up spending 50 or 80,000 on it to fix what's there, but the plows are going to hit it again in the winter. And if it's already on that downward curve, what are we going to be looking at? So maybe somebody who does those sorts of roads in Colorado, who understands the weather, can kind of weigh in on that.
We'll do our best to get all the information to make the best decision.
Yeah.
If I may add something, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Kip can probably address this also, but I don't believe you can just pave over those pavers.
Yeah.
So what would happen is you would have to take up all of the pavers. The roadbed underneath probably does not meet the design criteria that Kip has for laying asphalt down. So then a roadbed has to be built. So you'd essentially be starting from a dirt road to replace it. You'd be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars instead of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to bring the road back to its like new condition.
Right.
That part of the road, but the whole road itself is going to go through degradation. That's my comment. But anyway, we don't have to take all this up now. I
Yeah,
just it's a
but
thought that I was-
98% of the roads in good condition. It's probably going to be years before it looks like Thunder Ridge, if it ever does.
So budget topic.
Yeah, really.
Okay, thanks again for your presentation. It was very thorough. I really appreciate it. And Kip, thank you for your help. Suzanne, anyone else?
No, ma'am.
All right. So council, it's 10 minutes to 9. Do you want to take a break or carry on till 9?
Mayor Pro Tem,
Sure.
may I ask, can we just do the
That's what I
liquor
was-
license? I
that's-
have,
yes,
I have
exactly
the
what I was
customers
asking.
waiting in the
Perfect.
audience.
That's exactly.
Thank you for your patience.
So on item number 7, we have none for unfinished business. Item 8 is ordinances on initial posting. We have none. So we are at 9 public hearings and item 9A.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This evening before council, there is a new liquor license application for Joni's. I think everyone here on council knows Joni's Delicatessen here. The business name is Food Corner LLC. They do business as Joni's Deli. Their location is 110 East Midland Avenue. They've applied for a new hotel and restaurant liquor license. The applicant, as I said, is Food Corner LLC. They have a current sales tax number. Their FEIN number is up to date. The applicant submitted a petition to the clerk's office with 33 signatures on it of residents and local business owners in town that think this would be a good idea for this place to have a liquor license. They are eligible to be licensed and proof of possession of the premises has been received. The factual findings of this case are the application was submitted on July 20th. The public notice was posted and published on August 16th on the city's website and as well as in Joni's window. And the character of the applicant is not an issue for this hearing, and all applicable fees have been paid. Following the public hearing, please approve the application from Food Corner LLC, doing business as Joni's, for a new liquor license of a hotel restaurant liquor license located at 110 East Midland Avenue, Woodland Park. And with us, so patiently waiting in the audience, is Rebecca Rudell, who is the owner of Joni's. And I would welcome her up to the podium so she can answer any questions council may have.
Actually, full disclosure, whether I need to be recused, the cake that she just posted on the website is my wife's birthday cake. So if you.
I think you're okay, Russ.
Thank you. I full disclosure.
I cannot tell you how many people have like said, can you make me one of those? That was her creation. So thank you so much for having me this evening.
Council, any questions or comments other than, or are you ready to just make a motion?
I just have
Miss
one.
Usually we have Miss Rudell tell council
Yeah.
what she's planning to do.
Thank you. That's good. Yeah.
So right now we are just breakfast and lunch. And what we would like to do is expand that into offering some, probably a couple nights a week. We're going to start offering some dinner evenings, and we want to be able to offer beer and wine and cocktails with that. And also when people come in after a hike or a bike ride, they would like to have a beer. They ask if we have any beer. So, that's kind of our plan. We're also going to start expanding more into seasonal menus. And so we'd like to bring some of that along with those menus as well.
So my question is, because I've been there for breakfast, so are you going to plan to have like champagne breakfast? Is that part
Yes,
of the deal
of
too?
course. Mimosas and Bloody Mary bars and all of that. Yes.
Is that for the night after? No.
Yeah. Yes.
The morning after, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Very good. Council, anything further? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
Just open up a public hearing.
That's right. That's right. Do we have any questions from the audience? Is there anyone online?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now may I please have a motion?
I'll move to approve the hotel and restaurant liquor license for the Food Corner LLC.
I'll second.
You beat me, you got it.
Okay. Neil,
Yes.
Zulawaga,
Yes.
Alfieri,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakai.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously, and thank you very much, council.
Thank you. Thanks
Appreciate
for
it.
waiting.
Thanks for waiting.
Okay, Now, council, do you want to move on to item B or would you like to take a break? Because B is going to go long after 9 probably.
So then
Okay.
let's take a-
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And we're going to start with item 9B. And that's the approval of ordinance number 1403, and the presenter is our city attorney, Jeff Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is second reading on ordinance 1403, which continues the Black Hills Energy Gas franchise. The terms of this is basically a lease arrangement for use of the rights of way for 25 years. The terms of the franchise are essentially identical to the prior franchise of 20 years in most material respects, including the franchise fee itself. The company asked for several additions to the franchise in terms of information from us when we were getting ready to do work in the rights of way and some mapping so that the company knows where the customers are within the jurisdiction and in connection with whom they should calculate our franchise fee. Black Hills Energy was very easy to work with in negotiating this franchise. Initially, there were some very important provisions for us that were not in the original draft, but the company, pardon me, thank you, Rusty. But the company agreed to put those back in without any to-do, and the ordinance is before you for approval this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council questions, comments?
So is a public-private easements, are you satisfied that that's all clear? That's all fine, that we don't have unresolved? I mean, from what I understand, it's two different issues. And it doesn't really involve this contract, but there was discussion from public comment. I just wanted to make sure that we've got some education there going on or something so that.
We do. Michael may want to comment on that. I believe we're going to put some information on our website about the nature of easements, the property rights conferred, and the obligations that come with this, with your estate being burdened by an easement.
Yeah, just as Jeff said, after talking with Jeff, it might be a more appropriate and easier way to go about it to have just a public resource. Franchise agreement's a pretty deep down in the weeds technical document. So something like this, it's not going to be easy reading just if someone has a casual question about easement. So I've asked our team to start putting together just kind of an FAQ about how easements work and make that much more clear and accessible.
Love it. Great solution. Yeah.
This franchise does grant access to public easements and rights of way in the city, identical to the grant in the prior 20-year franchise with the same parties.
Yeah, and just finishing the dialogue. I had spoken on behalf of Patricia Stenner. I know that you all had talked. I haven't heard anything back. I've got to fall back on the law that I did study. I'm not a JD, Mayor Pro Tem or Joe, but I have to go back to what some of the preliminary law course material. We don't want to add things that are exclusions. It just makes you open yourself up for counter lawsuits. So thank you for working with the citizen though to hopefully make her feel like she was heard.
It was my pleasure.
Heard also.
Any further questions or comments? You're all feeling comfortable with this then?
You need a motion?
Yes, please.
Public hearing?
Oh, yes. I see our two gentlemen in the audience. They don't seem eager to ask anything. Do we have anyone online?
I will tell you one moment, ma'am. We do not.
Okay, now may I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1403, the Black Hills Energy Franchise Agreement.
I'll second.
Thank you. Zulawaga,
Yes.
Alfieri,
No.
Case,
Yes.
Labar,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Neil.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, council. And now we're going to move on to item number 10, new business, none. Item 11, we're at reports already. And this evening, I just have some events to announce. The first one is Cruise Above the Clouds. That is September 11th at Memorial Park. I do not have the time, but it starts, I
Hold on, I'll tell you.
can't remember, and I usually have my car in it, but I won't have it in this year.
There's a lot of the different events going on that day.
There is, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We're almost there. Okay.
You know what? I'll let you announce the time when you find it. For the sake of time, there is also the 9/11 ceremony at Lions Park, which is sponsored by the American Legion. That starts at 9 a.m. And there is also the farmer's market that continues on Fridays. Councilmember Alfieri.
I have nothing other than to say it's quite nice to see all your smiling faces in person finally.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Well, it's 8 days, 11 hours, 46 minutes and 54 seconds from
Until
now.
it starts.
Yeah, but it doesn't say it's on September 11th in Woodland Park.
Well, it starts in the morning. All the cars start showing up around 7 to 8 in the morning, and then vendors are there, and then they give awards for the cars. And so it's all day. So I'm sure if you showed up at 8, 10, or 1, there will be cars. You might miss the awards ceremony if you're there at 1, but but it's a great
Doesn't say
event.
anything.
It's really fun. So
Sorry.
that's okay. What do you have for us, Councilmember Case?
I just wanted to echo about the biker rally. It was a phenomenal. I've been in it. I've done it for many, many years, over all the years, and as a biker myself. And it was awesome. And I really appreciate all of you guys supporting it. And I just can't wait for next year. And I'm sorry, Mary Jo's not here, but I know that after our after action review yesterday, if we, it will be significantly larger next year. And we will need probably to use the DDA property. And so I'm glad that they're still open for that option. And so I feel very confident that we'll be able to make that happen and bring it back here next year. It'll be awesome. It was a lot of fun and very much appreciated.
And I
Thank you.
remember we had the one only negative feedback we got was that there were no sandwiches for the
The
volunteers.
food for the
So we
volunteers,
gotta
and
get
we
on that.
talked about that
Yeah.
yesterday, and Michael and I talked about it, and we have a plan, and Jim is involved with the plan. So
Very good.
it
It's
is
already being taken
on the
care of.
radar.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And good job with that, Kelly. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. I enjoyed helping.
Councilmember Nakai.
Let's see, I've got Main Street downtown cleanup has been scheduled for Friday, September 24th from 9 to noon.
Very good. Councilmember Neal.
I have no liaison reports from the past. I am doing this kind of as a preemptive strike for a DDA. We have a potential dilemma that I would like to get an agenda item added to the next council with the consensus of everybody. The invoice that Mary Jo, I sent it out to all council. I don't know if you've seen it. A businessman did some work, about $1,200 worth of work for what would technically fall as under a project. There was no appropriation for that, so I would like to get ahead of it. I'll work with the DDA board on Tuesday so that it's an appropriation request, but I'd like to get ahead so this business owner could get paid.
Okay.
It would be a project and we have to approve projects. It's not a line item. So to get the $1,200, it's a formality. I hope it's a formality where we would just say, let's take some of this money and move it over here, and we're covering that project.
Sure. We can get that on the agenda.
Discussion though, because Stephanie,
I would like to make a comment because you can say there's no line item for that expense as a project. There was a line item for that expense when the DDA approved it before this council went back and hijacked their budget. And it was under Woodland Station improvements. So the money was there. They did approve it.
They knew exactly where it was coming from, and it was our fault that their budget got changed and now there's no line item to pay it out of. That was not on the DDA.
I agree that the DDA board did vote. So the DDA board they have blessed what the work was done. It's just city council has to approve any projects. So it's a formality of us just saying it's a project that we are sanctioning and $1,200 is allocated to that project.
And I would just reiterate, when the DDA decided to incur this expense, that was prior to this council deciding to be heavy-handed with how they spent their money.
I'd like to comment as well, Rusty. Approving a project is different than the DDA doing what the DDA was chartered to do, and that is to promote development of the downtown development district. And they should be, in my opinion, allowed to function as a board to make decisions that they need to make as a board. And when it's an actionable item, it comes to council. So from what I understand, this bill has already been approved to be paid by a vote on the DDA board, and it really doesn't involve council. At this point, at that level, that's not our charge. It's your job as the DDA liaison to be the eyes and ears for the city. But they have every right, and you as a voting member of the DDA have every right to do things that are to promote development in the downtown district. That's what your charge is. And then when you have something big, yeah, then you bring it to us. But a design on a proposed idea of a project, to me, doesn't rise to the level of involving council at that level.
Well, I
Define
respectfully,
large for me.
You know what? We'll bring it to the agenda.
I was
and
going
then
to
we can
say,
have this
I would
we can
like
have
to
this
make an
discussion.
agenda because I respectfully disagree with the two council members about whether there was a line item of appropriation for that. And I'm just trying to prevent this argument because it came out of an executive session, the funds. I would just like to start anew, move forward, get all the paperwork done properly, get a line item approving the project, pay the bill, we move on and let the board do their job. So
You have
that's
my
my
second to
request.
put it on the agenda.
Thank you very much. And that's it for the city liaison reports from myself.
Great.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zulawanga.
Thank you. All right, so the Pikes Peak Regional. Sally obviously is not,
She is.
she's
So
somewhere around?
Sally's with us this evening. She's going to be speaking.
Oh, good. So then one of the items that's coming up directly regarding Woodland Park on Wednesday, the PPAC monthly meeting on Wednesday, is this functional classification change request, which is the whole thing about the streets and the sub-streets or whatever. We did kind of talk about that a little bit with Sally, but it's like one of the main items on there, not main items, have got 10 items or so on the agenda, but it's one of the items on the agenda. And I just would like a little more clarification of what they found out, whether they're happy now with the sub-streets or whatever that are there. And if we're good, so when I go back and they ask for my opinion on it, that you're happy and that we're happy with what that has come to. So hi, Sally.
Good evening, council. I'm happy to further explain the functional classification of our roads. And it has to do with aligning our street classification to the federal classifications so that we will be able to qualify for funding on our local streets. And this is done through the PPACG staff, who is very familiar, and it is fairly straightforward and perfunctory. So It's not a major issue. It really is just housekeeping to make sure that we have our streets classified appropriately.
We didn't have them classified before, right? And now this was a
No.
piece, a piece that's needed so that we have eligibility for that funding. Is that right?
No, our roads have been classified, but some of them were inappropriately classified. So this is making it current and correct.
Okay, thanks. So you guys are all good with that? So, yeah, all right. Thanks, Sally. The other one that comes up is that they wanted to have input or know if there's interest of input for a traffic safety update. It's called a Drive Smart. So they want 3 people on the PPACG to weigh in on that. Now, there was like lots of interest from El Paso County on that, and they wanted to include Teller and Park County. So I just wanted to see, and they said that somebody had expressed an interest. And so I'm checking, and that's why I asked you earlier. Yeah, if there's anyone who has an interest in that. To me, I'm thinking that that's just going to end up being a tax that they're going to want to impose on us up here. And do we really want that? So I just wanted to get a measure from us, whether that's something we really want to say, oh yeah, we want to be part of this. And maybe it's just a matter of we get emails that kind of keep us plugged into it, but otherwise, just wanted to get a take on where that was for people. So you were the main person who had any interest in. Oh, wasn't, okay, okay. Not Drive Safe, okay, okay, very good.
Is it Drive Safe or Drive Smart?
Drive Smart, yeah.
Okay. I'm not familiar, so I'm
Well,
read about it.
yeah, and the reason I think El Paso County is more because they have more fatalities down there, and that's really what that's all about, so. All right, and then there's one other part, Rusty, on wildfire mitigation. There's a whole coordination of that, but that's just, those are the 3 areas I thought for Woodland Park that had some interest in the PPACG.
Sure.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. City Attorney.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I just had one more thing.
Yeah.
We passed a resolution for the Fountain Creek, right?
Yeah.
But my question to the city is, are we going to have on the city website at all any sign up for any of the, whether it's from Keep Woodland Park Beautiful or Main Street or anybody, so that people can plug in and we can, as a community, do something with that whole, cleanup effort?
Let's ask Rob.
I would say just a link to their website, maybe.
I see a nodding head from Rob that we do have that ability.
Come to the podium, Rob.
Maybe just a link to their website to sign up from ours.
But we're not on
Make
it.
it
She said we
simple.
don't have anything on there. None of the 50 committees are Woodland Park.
Okay.
So I emailed their generic email on the website and now I have Allie's email. So I emailed her already, but we are as Keep Woodland Park Beautiful. We're going to adopt a section. So we'll be able to sign up for, we'll have people sign up for Keep Woodland Park Beautiful to work on that section. And we'll put it on Facebook and Nextdoor website, all those places.
So does that mean you've talked to Ally and now you're going to have Woodland Park as one of those 50 or 51 committees now? Is that going to?
No, I got Allie's contact tonight. So I did email her and hopefully that starts a conversation for tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Now, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. You may proceed. I'm sorry, with all due respect, if the Mayor Pro Tem would
Please.
permit you.
Anybody want anything else? My daughter got high paper in her constitutional law class in law school. That's my only report. I'm very proud. It's from her mother. It had nothing. Yeah.
And our joke for the night?
Oh, I can't tell him. See, that's the problem.
Michael has the joke.
Oh, okay, all right. Michael can do it.
Thanks.
It's a good tie.
Like that one?
It's a good tie.
Power
Power
tie.
tie, that's right. I'm afraid of red.
Good.
So when does a joke become a dad joke?
When the attorney defaults.
it's apparent.
Oh. Yeah.
Again, that's not the first time staff's heard that.
I will try and be brief. So I did provide the council with a draft budget calendar. We are a little bit later in the year than I had hoped. My apologies for that. We are excited to have Aaron join us, and he and Rob spent probably about 20 hours of the 8-hour workday doing budget stuff today. They're working very hard, trying to do the internal piece. So moving forward, we will share this calendar with the public, and we'll do a little bit of communications outreach about it. Just some highlights for folks. We again, tentatively, these dates could change. September 16th, we'll come to you and talk about budget priorities. And then we are going to sequence in a conversation about the American Rescue Plan dollars that we have received and kind of build two budgets at once. I mean, that some of the things that we might want to pay for next year would be eligible for those American Rescue Plan dollars, as well as the 22 budget. We hope to deliver the proposed budget to the council by October 15th and then present that the following week. And have kind of an in-depth workshop to go through that budget. You all transition it from the manager's proposed budget to the council's budget. And then hopefully we will have that initial posting for the budget ordinances November 18th and final reading the first meeting in December. So like I said, we will share these out. These are tentative dates. We're going to shove a whole lot of budget into a little tiny bit of time. Aaron's already gearing up for like a 9-month budget process next year. I'm very impressed. Okay, I like budget, so it's kind of.
I just would like to thank you and congratulate you on a more appropriate and typical budget calendar for this year.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate that. So that is the budget calendar. I don't know if there's any questions on that. And then if Planning Director Sally Riley would like to give us a quick rundown of the comp plan.
Thank you, Michael. And it's my pleasure to share with the council that the Planning Commission has completed 3 work sessions. They have reviewed chapters 6 through 13, and next Thursday, they will be reviewing the first 5 chapters that will include the introduction, land use and growth, housing, community character, and city finances. The work sessions begin at 5:30 p.m. and you can participate either in person or via Zoom. All are invited, but the subcommittee's chair and scribe are the ones that the Planning Commission most likes to hear from. I also wanted to share that the staff and our consultant, Logan Simpson, have begun to review the land use code. We held our first meeting last week and discussed the structure of combining the zoning regulations, the subdivision codes, and the mobile home park regulations into a more streamlined, unified development code. So during that meeting, we went over the sections of the Unified Development Code that would include the general provisions, the zoning districts, development standards, use regulations, subdivisions, administration, and definitions. So one thing that really helps with a unified development code is that all these provisions are in one chapter. So you have one set of definitions and everything is very consistent and more easily understood by land developers and our citizens. So we're excited about getting started in this final phase of the comp plan and the code review. If If you have any questions, I encourage you to be involved in the next Planning Commission meeting on September 9th.
Council, any questions or comments for Sally? No? Okay, thank you, Sally. September 9th at what time? And where? At 5:30?
5:30.
And here?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And then finally, I'd just like to thank all the staff who spent a lot of time on the rally. It went off really well. Special thanks to Sergeant Beth Huber, to Sally and to Laura, to Chris Troger and to Steve Varner, and all the rest of the folks. It went really well, a large part due to our staff and obviously cast of many other folks throughout the community. It was great. So we're very, very pleased. That's all again.
Thanks, Michael. All right.
Mayor Pro Tem, we do have someone with their hand up. I
Oh.
don't know if you want to.
We could entertain it for just a sec. Sure. And unless it's something that may need to be moved to next agenda, but.
It's
go ahead.
Vicky Alexander, and I'm not sure what you'd like to.
Oh, go ahead.
Comment on. Vicky, if you can speak, please do.
Maybe she doesn't know her hand was up. It's okay. She's my mother-in-law. I can just say we'll take her next time.
That's what I was whispering to you.
Oh. Does she notice or is
You've
she?
got cookies and cake.
Oh, okay. Right, yes. It's probably something I didn't do, so. All right, I'll be sure to catch up with her to see. So, all right, this meeting is adjourned.